Hey climbers, and welcome to chapter 1 of my Intro to Bouldering course. This chapter is meant as a quick start guide for people who haven't been to a climbing gym before or aren't really familiar with the sport. Today we'll explore the gym, I'll teach you how to get the perfect fit for your rental shoe for the day, and then we'll go over some basics on the wall to help you get started. Let's go ahead and jump into the gym tour. Modern climbing gyms are popping up all across the world, making the sport more accessible than ever before. These gyms provide climbers an amazing opportunity to hone their skills and grow in the sport. These gyms feature climbing walls at a variety of angles, allowing for a diverse training experience. And modern climbing gyms incorporate an insane variety of hold shapes and sizes, making for extremely fun problems for climbers to solve. Now that we've explored the gym, let's talk about finding the perfect rental shoe for your first day in the gym. All right, time to talk about the rental shoes and how to size them properly for your first day on the wall. So I'd go ahead and start with your street shoe size for the day when you talk to the person at the front desk that you're renting these from. For the most part, these rental shoes are sized a little bit differently than a high-performance shoe that you might buy later down the line. So start with your street shoe size and see how they feel. The fit that we're looking for is to have your toes up against the front with a pressure of about 3 to 4 out of 10. So they shouldn't be curled up all the way where you can't stand, but they should be kind of tucked a little bit because of the pressure that they're feeling in the front of the shoe. This is ultimately going to help you when you get on the wall, so that you're not sliding around in your shoe as you place the tip of your toe on climbing holds. That's normally how we climb, is by placing the tip of our toe in a way that helps us not only move our shoe 180 degrees around that hold, but also stand up through a full range of motion. So that's why we size these shoes down and nice and tight, is so that it gives us kind of the full effect of our ankles range of motion, either moving side to side this way or this way up and down as we start to put pressure just on the tips of our toes. So go ahead and start with your street shoe size. If that's too big, size down half a size and see how it feels from there. These shouldn't be soul-crushingly tight, so if they are, go ahead and just size up a little bit. The great thing about these rental shoes is they are Velcro, so you can pop them off in between climbs. It takes a little bit of time to build that pain tolerance to climbing shoes if you're not familiar with them, so just give it a little bit of time and don't let these things be the thing that keep you from getting into the sport. Ultimately, you'll get a shoe that's a little bit more comfortable in the future here, and we'll talk about that in future courses if you want. So let's go ahead and jump into the next part here on the wall. Okay, now that we've finished the gym tour and we have our rental shoes for the day, it's time to jump on the wall. But before we do, I just want to cover a few basic tips to help you get started. So the first thing to cover is finding a difficulty that suits your current level. And so we follow a V scale system for our grading, the way that we rank our boulder problems difficulty in the US. So at the bottom of that scale is V0, and at that top of the scale currently in the world is V17. At most modern climbing gyms, you won't see that number V17. You'll typically only see V12 is kind of where it maxes out depending on the gym that you're at. So we're looking for something that's either V0, V1, or V2 for these first few climbs as you're getting familiar with the sport. So from there, we want to talk about how we kind of start and finish these climbs. As climbers, we all want to play the same game, so we have a certain set of rules that we follow in order to play that game fairly. And so the first thing that we do is we start in a stable, secure position. So this means we need to find a start hold. This is typically indicated with a tag. So check with your gym to see how they indicate their start holds, but this can either be 2 hands to 1 hold or 2 hands on separate holds. It kind of just depends on what the route setters are doing for that climb specifically. So once we have that, our hands on the correct starting position, we want to get our feet off the ground and then just wait for about 1 second before we move to the next hold. This kind of indicates that we have a secure starting position and that we are ready to start the climb before we move into the next position. Once we finish the climb, we'll get to the top of the wall and we're either looking for a finish tag to indicate a finish hold, or we'll just look for the top of the wall depending on what your gym does. So if there is a finish hold, that means that we need to match both of our hands, so touch both of our hands to the same hold for about 1 solid second or beyond that to show that we do have control of that hold as well. So we have a controlled start and a controlled finish to say that we did this climb in a way that we're all playing by the same rules. So let's go ahead and see what that looks like in practice. Okay, so I have this V1 right next to me here, so let's talk about how we might look at this climb to see where our start position is and our finish position. So right here I see our start tag, and it indicates that this is a V1, so this is the kind of proper grade for us to be starting at if this is our first day in a climbing gym. So I see 2 holds above it here that look like hand holds, whereas some of these holds below it, they're covered in rubber, which is a good indicator that that's going to be a foothold for us. So look for ones that have chalk for hands and rubber for feet to give you a good kind of quick look at these holds to see what they are used for if you're not familiar with climbing or how to identify these holds in general. So I see my 2 start hands here, so I'm going to do 1 hand above and 1 hand below before I take my weight off the ground, and looking for these feet below me here. Once I'm in that stable position, I'll go ahead and move on to the next hold. So just to get started, I want to look for that next hold from the ground. This is going to be a great strategy, is to solve the bouldering problem from the ground in our heads before we jump up onto the wall and try to solve it with our bodies. This is a great way to save energy ultimately, so that we can have more attempts at these climbs in the gym and get more out of our sessions. So we don't want to be problem solving on the wall. We want to be executing on the wall, and we want to be problem solving from the ground. So right hand here, left hand here, and my feet are going to be low below me, and then I'm going to move my right hand up to this hold here. And then I'll think about just climbing from there, left hand, right hand, until we get to the top. So let's go ahead and look for our finish hold now. Okay, we found the finish hold up here. It's indicated by this yellow tag at this final hold here. So this is the hold that we're looking to match to secure the finish. Let's go ahead and try this first boulder together. Okay, for the last boulder of this chapter, we're going to go ahead and show you one more fun way that we can start boulders. So this is called a run and jump. So instead of having our arms and feet secure before we move up the wall, we're actually going to start by running off the first foot up to the start hold here. So let's go ahead and try this last boulder. Okay, that's it for chapter 1. In the next chapter, we're going to cover technique basics for climbers between the level V0 to V3. So let's go ahead and jump into it.